good morning, and welcome to my Monday messages. Today, I want to talk about allergies or sensitivities, those uncomfortable, sometimes painful bodily responses that we have sometimes to external triggers. So could be foods, could be pollen, could be seeds, could be grasses, could be any number of substances that our body decides, or knows, I should say, could be potentially harmful to us. And I want to encourage a bit of a rethink or a kind of shift in perception of what's actually happening when those things occur. I was put in mind of this because fairly recently I've had some responses to something in very particular, actually, that in the past I may have dismissed as an allergic reaction, and I would have left it there. I would have just gone, okay, well, I know what that trigger was, and so I'll just avoid that trigger forever. And I'll tell myself that I can't go near that trigger. And if I do, then I'll be fine. And I may have strayed into what's wrong with my body that it's doing those uncomfortable symptoms and putting me through that discomfort. There's something wrong with me. There's something that's not right, that's failing me in some way. And quite often I think we fall into that trap when we have these reactions to external triggers. And we think that managing that and restricting ourselves in some way so that we're not exposing ourselves to whatever that trigger is the answer. And it isn't. It's only half the story. Yes, it can be really valuable while we are still maintaining an attitude of compassionate curiosity as to, okay, what's going on underneath? Why am I doing this? And, just going into that deeper state of health. And instead of thinking, why has my body gone wrong? Actually saying, okay, well, this is obviously a protective measure. And that's what I believe it is. What happens when we have those immediate responses like sneezing and watery eye? In my case, it was watery, itchy eyes and sneezing and a watery nose. And the culprit, in my case, the trigger, if you like, was some eye makeup that I hadn't used to wear all the time, but I hadn't actually worn for months, if not years, actually. I don't know what possessed me to try it again, but I did. And I could have said, oh, right, okay, well, I'm obviously allergic to that, so I won't be wearing any eye makeups ever again, and I'll be fine. And that would have been the end of that. What I chose to do, and it's not a long process because I know that actually at the time my body was working very hard to focus on something much deeper, something really systemic and metabolic, that it was healing. And my resources, my energy, if you like, was taken up with that. So therefore, the intelligence that is my system will warn me if I am about to wittingly or unwittingly take on any further form of toxicity that may pull attention away from that focus and therefore dilute it. So rather than going, yeah, okay, right, half of us will come away from this project and we'll go onto that project because we have to manage that toxic eye makeup that we know, has to be processed, has to be dealt with, has to be passed through the system or whatever. At this time, my system just went, no, sorry, you can't handle that at the moment. And it was a reminder for me that I have to be super careful when I'm doing things like that, that actually my defense system is going to be on hyper alert, and it's going to repel any potential borders, if you like, that are going to interrupt me doing whatever I need to be doing at the time. So therefore, understanding that, actually, thank you. I'm really grateful for having that protective system in place that, yes, it might make me feel uncomfortable temporarily, but it does actually remind me that I really do need to be making certain changes. I need to be resting more. I need to be watching what I'm taking in and putting on myself at this time. And that, I believe, is exactly what an allergy or a sensitivity is. It's a kind of over the top, if you like, response, not a reaction, it's a response actually to us making choices that are not in alignment with what we're actually able to cope with at any given time. And if we confine ourselves to blaming the thing, the trigger, the pollen, the chemical, the eye makeup, whatever it is, and we also regard our bodies as being faulty or not behaving as they should, and we reach for something that just turns that warning off, basically, or dials it down to such an extent that we can't really hear it anymore. And then we think, well, that's the end of that. I'm fine now. I'll just need to take, antihistamines every summer or, forever or whatever. That's just half the process. And I can't bear jobs that are half done. It is a trigger for me, actually, in almost anything. I can't abide it when I can see how a job could be really fully completed and therefore much more satisfying, much more sustainable and much more sustaining and resourceful. I can't abide watching it when it's only half done. So when I have clients in who have allergies and sensitivities, I'm always looking at both levels. So I'm looking to provide remedies or also even actually belief changes, things like that, transformational techniques for transforming perspectives and all the stories we tell ourselves. They form part of my treatment, if you like, of an allergy, because we need to relieve the discomfort of that warning light, and we need to just go, okay, we've got the message. Now we can just turn that warning light down or off, and you can feel safe that we are listening, because we're also going to be curious about why is your system needing to say, please, no more toxicity at this time. It's either because it's clearly working on something, and that's a one-off, that's a, some kind of, transformational stage that we're going through. Menopause can actually create all kinds of new sensitivities and transformation, sensitivities and allergies, things like that. Things that you've never experienced before, but because our bodies are working on transforming deep within, there is that potential for a call to go, please don't put anything else in my way, just let me get on with this. So stages like that can create allergies and sensitivities. You don't have to be born with them. They can develop at any time. And it is a protective device. So we are looking at, why is that protection necessary at the moment, or why do we believe it's necessary, some part of us, and what is going on underneath, what may need support, what may need a change in choices, a change in behaviour, a change in what we eat, what we put on ourselves, how we rest, how we exercise even. What else is our system calling for that will mean that it no longer feels it needs to be on hyper alert and repel all foreign invaders, if you like. And so just actually understanding that that's what's happening, that this is a warning light, and if we ignore it, the chances are that not only will our lives become more restricted and restrictive because we'll just keep avoiding things, but also our energy is likely to get lower and lower because we're not really helping whatever the underlying issue is. That's why when people come to me with allergies, I'm always treating on at least 2 levels, because that's the way that we affect real sustainable changes. And the need for that warning light, the need for that protective device to be set in motion becomes less and less necessary. And yes, sometimes it takes a little bit of time, especially if we've been in a pattern of doing this for many years, which often people have been. And yes, we can get stuck in that protective device. We can just forget that the immediate danger is now over, and we can still go, oh, be careful, because that thing, could potentially damage us. And so the red light goes on regardless of whether it's actually appropriate for what we're going through at the time. So yeah, I hope that sheds some light on what may be happening if you suddenly find yourself being sensitive to things that you've had no problem with up until now, because that's entirely possible, and that you actually heed that warning and look deeper than the surface symptoms, the surface warning light, if you like. So if you would like to talk about this further, you would like to explore something that's coming up for you, then please do give me a call. We can chat about that, and we can see what's the best way forward for you. But meantime, just have a think about, how can I actually, instead of blaming my body for these uncomfortable reactions or responses, how can I actually switch that so that I'm grateful that I still have the energy available for that to happen, for there to be a warning, for there to be an invitation to look deeper, for there to be an opportunity for me to actually do some deeper healing work rather than just accept whatever comes my way. I hope that's useful. I know it's not allergy season, but you know what? These days, people are having allergies and sensitivities year round, I'm finding. And it's not always to do with grasses or pollens or, seasonal things at all. It's just everyday stuff. So it seems to be becoming more and more prevalent. So I just thought I'd address it because it came my way. So there you go. Have a wonderful week as ever, and just do whatever you can to be really grateful for this wonderful body that has served you so well up until this point, and thank it for all its attempts to protect you and defend you despite the fact that it may feel a little bit uncomfortable while it's trying to do that. Okay, take care.